Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 11 of Sitting Courtside. Like always, I am your host, Dante,
It's your boy Jerry D.
and we are back talking some NBA. We are back giving a season preview because the NBA starts in one week from
But before,
this
hey,
recording.
before we go though, I just
Uh-huh.
want to give Dante a quick shout out. I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but I thought you weren't going to do it. But shout out to Dante for hitting 100K on Stash
Mm,
Club, man. That's some real good shit right there,
thank
man.
you.
I was trying to get
Thank
that out, but we kind of spoiled it initially when we started talking about it. But I wanted to cut you off in this intro so bad, and then you kind of like ruined the surprise. But Dante hit
mm.
100K on Stash
I,
Club, man. Couldn't be any more proud of that guy. I hope we hit 100K on this thing one day. But woo!
thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. And anyone that watches Stash Club, I appreciate your support. Hey, we got one channel out of the way for 100K. So next up, sitting courtside. Always make sure to subscribe, follow, listen, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for the support as always. But this isn't. There's no new wrestling topics to talk about today, Jerry. I know me and you kind of go back and forth. We send each other some videos of some classic WWE videos of back in the day. But today, let's talk about some NBA GM surveys. So each year before the season starts, NBA.com always puts out this long list of questions and answers that were answered by NBA GMs, and I feel like since the season starts in a week, we might as well go over these and kind of give our thoughts, our opinions on what we think of the results. So we have a bunch of different ones like the team to win the NBA Finals, MVP, breakout seasons, best positional players in the league, best moves, all that stuff. So we have a good amount to talk about. Jerry, I say we just get into the the top one, the most important one. And the question is, which team will win the 2024 NBA Finals? And I will have all this stuff included on the screen as well, so everyone can follow along as they are watching. If you are listening in audio versions, I apologize. You're just going to have to follow along. You can go on NBA.com and look for it yourself if you are listening to this. So NBA GMs voted that Boston Celtics and Denver Nuggets both have a 33% chance to win the finals. Actually, I worded that wrong. So the Celtics and Nuggets each got 33% of the vote to win the NBA finals. The Milwaukee Bucks at third are at 23%, Phoenix Suns at 7, and the Clippers are at 3%. So Celtics and Nuggets getting majority of the votes here. Jerry, do you believe that that's how it's going to play out? Celtics Nuggets, the Bucks. Do you think the Bucks kind of should have gotten a few more votes? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, like definitely just looking at the breakdown of this thing is I am kind of feeling like they did kind of shit on the Bucks a little bit. I do know that obviously getting Damian Lillard is a huge piece. And I do know the Celtics obviously upgraded their roster because Drew Holiday is an upgrade for Marcus Smart, and
Mm-hmm.
adding Kristaps Porzingis and swapping him out for Robert Williams, like that's that's an amazing lineup, an amazing roster. I can't even get mad at that. I just think there should have been like maybe a three-way split between those
Sure.
three teams in particular, because Giannis could be the best player in the world at any given point in time, along with a guy like Jokic. So it kind of like balances itself out to some degree. Uh, Outside that though, I think they're rounding out the rest of the top five.
Clippers
Um,
being a number five is honestly a little bit a little surprising to me, to be honest.
exactly. That's that I was gonna kind of round myself out to you. You know, like we've had our conversations all summer long about how I am sick and tired of talking about the Clippers
What do
being
you? Come
hyped,
on, come on.
but
No, you love them.
love the roster. I do love the roster, even if I am a Laker fan, but it's just hard for me to say these guys are title contenders year after year after they let me down 3 years
Mm.
running. Why should I think there's anything
They,
differently?
they let everyone down, even if you're not a fan. They let you down because you have
Let me
such high
down.
expectations. And we just want them to be good. Yeah. No, listen. If they're healthy, they're full roster. I mean, we've talked about this before. They can be one of the best teams in the NBA for sure.
Oh yeah.
Just a little surprising that they got that vote, considering that they haven't been able to make it as far as people have thought over the last few years. Maybe it was the Clippers GM that voted for them. I don't know. I don't know how that works. If you can even vote for
Steve
like
Ballmer does
players
have a
or
lot of
GM.
money. He can make a lot of things happen.
He does. He paid for that three. He paid for that 3% for sure. I'm actually going to be moving around a little bit. I'm not going to go down in the order that I sent you, Jerry, because it's kind of like segue into what we're talking about. So you mentioned, the Celtics making moves this offseason, the Bucks making moves this offseason, both of them basically in an arms race right now in the Eastern Conference over who's going to have the best roster. Obviously, the season hasn't started yet, but those two are looking like the two best teams in the East at this moment. The next question is, which team made the best overall moves this offseason? And funny enough, the Celtics and Bucks are both tied at first with 23%. The Trailblazers, who traded away Damian Lillard and also Drew Holiday, 17%. And then the Lakers at 13%. So kind of just going off what you were saying, both teams made moves to make their roster better, obviously sacrificing a little bit to get a lot. And then you round it up with Blazers, who, we've given our grades, our ratings to what we think of their return for the whole Damian Lillard saga and stuff like that, getting DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams. This is all including after the Drew Holiday trade as well.
Yeah.
A few younger guys, a handful of picks, swaps, and all that stuff. So obviously, the GMs think that they got a pretty good return on that. And in my opinion, the Lakers at 13%, I think they should have gotten a little bit more love here. I genuinely do believe that they had, you take out Boston, Milwaukee, they had probably the best offseason, just re-signing guys, bringing in, a few other handful of guys to bolster their roster and stuff like that. And I think the Lakers, and even going back to the championship odds, who's going to win the championship, I think I would have preferred having the Lakers there over the Clippers.
Yeah.
Just because the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals last year and they got better. So I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't get any love there, but I do believe that they should be recognized a little bit more for their offseason moves.
Yeah, like what I would say, obviously I agree with you. Being a Maine State Lakers fan on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
I really just feel like that low key was one of the best offseason moves, like maybe even number one. I know that Milwaukee and Boston ended up getting star caliber players, which
They got more bigger name players, but I think the Lakers rounded themselves off with not the sexiest names, but
guys
good,
that complete the
complete
roster.
guys. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And year after year, we talk about both LA teams, Miami, New York, Brooklyn, any of those bigger market teams being teams that chase after superstar caliber players. This time the Lakers didn't do that. They learned from their mistakes. We went after Russell Westbrook 2 seasons ago. That was obviously not a fit.
It didn't work. No,
Did not work at all. Even in seasons past, think about Steve Nash being acquired by the Lakers many seasons ago. That was a bust. Dwight Howard did have a solid year for LA, but that was also not a match made in heaven.
Hey, he came back and won you guys a championship. Come on.
He did. Thankfully. But I really appreciate this is like a Denver Nugget kind of approach, right? They signed Bruce Brown a season ago or 2 seasons ago, whatever. They end up winning a championship with really just a sufficient amount of role players around their 2 stars. So
sometimes that's all you need. If you put the right players around them, it could work. So.
You have LeBron and Anthony Davis, 2 guys that could be top 5 to top 10 players in the game, and surround them with even more, pretty good comparable talent. Gabe Vincent's a solid player, as we've seen in the finals. Cam Reddish still is a young player that still has some upside. Jackson Hayes is a good bench piece. And then you re-sign the guys that make
He's another body. Austin Reeves, of course.
I like it.
I do too. I like then obviously you're a Lakers fan. I'm a Celtics fan. I give the dog. We got a dog making an appearance. But no, I agree. I think the Lakers did a lot, not bringing in the sexiest names in the world, but they brought in complete guys to fill out their roster. They have a solid lineup from the starting point guard to the 10th, 11th man. Made the Western Conference Finals last year, so I don't think it's crazy to say that they've gotten better from last year and that they could go back to the Western Conference Finals and even make it to the finals. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility there. Just the Lakers, great offseason moves. I think it's something that could bring them further than the Western Conference Finals like they made last year. They definitely could be a finals team this year. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah. Literally, I endorse everything you say. I don't think there's any reason for me to beat the dead horse here. Yep. I think the whole situation with them just seems like we're a couple pieces away from beating Denver. We added some size. We added pretty good depth at the guard position. I feel confident for our chances to compete out west.
As you should. Now, let's talk about some MVPs. So, who will win the 2023-2024? Leading the way at number one by a wide margin is Nikola Jokic, 43%. Then you have Giannis at 20%, Jason Tatum at 13%, and then Luka Doncic at 10%. I saw you shake your head a little bit there, Jerry. What's going through your head?
Like, I love Jokic, man. I hate when people make me take away from what legends do. And
Mm-hmm.
it was the same thing with Steph Curry throughout the 2010s. Oh, he's better than LeBron James. No, at no point was Steph actually better than LeBron, man. Like throughout that whole span. But
Right.
I got to shit on him a little bit. I got to take away and educate people, and they think I hate him.
Educate them, Jerry.
So
Educate
like,
them. Take them to school.
I mean, I don't have a choice. Like Nikola Jokic, I think the offensive numbers speak for themselves, right? He averaged basically a triple double this past season. I
Yeah.
get it. He's the head of the snake. He's basically a point center. He is the engine that makes them go. And usually when we say that, we think about a point guard in that role, but Jokic is everything for the Nuggets. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't
Yes,
appreciate being able to watch him play more. But I don't like how we sleep on Giannis. I think there's this voter fatigue, right? That kind of kicked in for
sure.
Giannis now, where it's like, well, 30 and 12 is dope, but he's not averaging 10 assists. Like,
He's getting the LeBron treatment. Because
like,
if me and you are being completely honest here, LeBron James could easily have 7 or 8 MVPs, regular
absolutely.
season MVPs. Like I
Absolutely.
know it's a crazy number, it is, but like they don't like they don't want to give it to the same person every single
Yeah.
year. And like Giannis, 2-time NBA MVP. Jokic, also 2-time NBA MVP. And also, not even on this list is Joel Embiid, who won the MVP last year. He didn't even get a single vote.
That's what
Um,
is killing me right now to look
right.
at this list right now. And
It's kind
Joel's
of
not even,
crazy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me how Jokic is the one that got so much love on here, which he rightfully so. I mean, he is like one of the most, if not the most complete player in the NBA on the offensive end. He can do virtually everything. But Giannis, I mean,
a
he's
two-way
the
star.
most yeah, he's a two-way star. He's the most unstoppable player in the NBA today. Obviously won the defensive player of the year 1 year as well. A much, much, much better defender and more versatile than Jokic.
That's,
But it's not to shit on either of them. It's just
no,
like both of them deserve to be held in the same regard.
that's my point. Like
Mhm.
even I'm gonna say all three. Because at the end of the day, the MVP is a regular season award. And that's
It
why
is.
Embiid won it,
Yeah.
right? If it was like contingent on the playoffs, then it would have been Jokic by a landslide.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Joel Embiid gave you 33 points last year, 10 rebounds, and about a block or two a game. I don't understand why we're just discounting that to the point where this guy doesn't even have a 10% chance to win the MVP
Right.
like amongst
Now,
his rookie.
a question I have for you is: do you think Embiid should have won the MVP last year?
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
was actually I think really should have won it a couple years back. I think that would have been a better. I think it was what 2021 whenever Jokic won one of his.
the
I
first
would have
one.
minded
Yeah,
Jokic getting this one, but the man led the league in scoring at the center position, which hasn't been done since like Shaq.
yeah.
So like I could just appreciate the fact that they actually ended up giving Joel one that he might have missed out on a couple years ago.
I
But
think that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, it's between I think those two have been the top three in voting, or it's been like back and forth between both of them the last 3 years.
yeah,
And I think Embiid should have won it a few years ago. I'm not saying he shouldn't have won it this year or didn't deserve it, but I do believe it was like okay, Jokic got two of them. Embiid, like if he doesn't win it
he
this
had to get
year,
one.
then he's probably never going to win it. So you got to give it to him.
I just before we move on, I just really want to ask like the viewers how much do we allow defense to weigh in the MVP conversation too?
Hmm.
Not saying that it's like this has to be something that you have, that's not a contingent upon it. No. I know when I have a two-way star, if Giannis goes out this year and averages 33, 12, 6 assists, 2 blocks and a steal, I kind of value
How
that a
does that
little more than I
Right.
do.
But like, it's how does a player that put up a stat line like that not win MVP? That's so crazy. Like looking back in years past on players that have won MVP and
I'm
like
just saying, man.
it's crazy. And before we do move on, I do want to give a shout out. I'm just saying, I know I'm a Celtics guy. Jason Tatum He's going to have a good year this year. If he stays healthy, if the Celtics, obviously everything goes according to plan, they're one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference and the NBA. I think this is Jason Tatum's like show him year. I think this
Yeah,
is his this is his superstar MVP caliber season. Like I think he was top 4, top 5 in voting last year for MVP. But I think this is the year where it all comes together. I expect a big jump, not a big jump, but I expect a jump in assists. I think his defensive game is really going to take off. I think this is going to be a good year for him, and I think he will definitely be acknowledged and being held in
yeah.
that conversation. Will he win it? It's going to be hard. It's very hard to win MVP nowadays because there's just so much
This
talent, but it'll be a
this
big
should
year for
be
him.
this should be a big intangible year. Not even so like I think a lot of stuff that don't show up in the box score, like when we say that, people kind of like, turn their heads a little bit, probably don't understand entirely, but making the right reads, making the smart plays, being a leader now too that Marcus
Yep.
Smart is gone, like that stuff doesn't show up like for MVP voting, obviously, but the people that watch the game, like I hope the voters do, will like take note that Tatum
Some
took a step up in these
some
different.
voters don't. Some voters don't, bro. Do you remember years ago? It was oh, what's it? Chris Bouchard. You know Chris Bouchard.
I love Chris Broussard.
So he Avery Bradley when he was on the Celtics like missed out on being on the all defensive second team, I believe,
Hmm.
by like a vote or two.
Yep, I
And one of the
remember
guys that didn't vote for him was Chris Bouchard. And when he explained it on television, he goes, "Oh, how can I vote for someone who let Devin Booker drop 70 points on his head?" Well, two things: one, Avery Bradley didn't play that game,
Nope.
and two, Marcus Smart played that game, who I believe he did vote for to be
Yep.
on an all defensive team. So that's a
Down
tough
moment of
one.
his career.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not saying I don't. It's not that like I don't like him or anything like that,
Yeah.
but that's you have to imagine that there are people that vote that
Yeah.
also one may not watch games and two have like a bias or something like that. They go
And
based off
shouldn't
of
be on the panel.
storyline or something like that. Shouldn't be on the panel,
If
but
you're not
that's
watching games, you do not need to have a vote in the NBA award.
it makes no sense. But unfortunately, that's how it goes. But okay, moving on to the next one. If you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Number one, we have Nikola Jokic, 33%. Victor Wembanyama at 23%. Giannis at 13, Luka at 10, and our boy Anthony Edwards closing it out at 7%. Um, yeah, I mean, I think Jokic probably is the easy number one answer. I'm honestly kind of like surprised. I mean, I know Victor Wembanyama is a unicorn. He's this, he's that. I get it, but like putting someone like him ahead of a former two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, like we said, Giannis, kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, but you see, I feel like is this current age right now, or is like right now today, like Giannis is about
Right.
30
I
years
mean,
old.
Giannis is 28 years old. Victor is like 19 or something, whatever.
It's like, okay, maybe I could see if that's the
That's the logic
yeah,
behind it, sure.
I'll get it. Like I'm still kind of I'm cool with this list actually overall,
Hmm.
but I think Anthony Edwards is dope to see. I'm kind of
Yeah,
surprised Tatum isn't in this realm. Like
sure.
the
Hmm.
fact that Anthony Edwards actually leapfrogged him there. Like Tatum is still technically 19 years old. So
He always will be in the
so
heart
not
of
seeing him in here
Boston
is kind of
fans.
like, oh wow, there's no Tatum. But I think the top five is nice. Personally, I probably would go Luca just because I
Sure.
know
Yep.
there's not as much hardware there. Like no MVPs, just a couple of All Star teams, a couple All NBA teams. But I think the overall play style of the offensive engine, the way this game runs,
Yep.
I would probably take Luca if I had to choose one. I'm probably going to take Luca though.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm content with, Jokic being number one makes the most sense. I think you can plug
Agreed.
him on any team, anywhere, and he'll still put up the same numbers, to be completely honest with you. Even though he hasn't picked up a basketball, well, actually, he probably has now because training camp, but hadn't touched a basketball all summer. Speaking on Anthony Edwards, continuing on about him. So the next question is, which player is most likely to have a breakout season in 2023 2024? And at number one, with 23%, is Anthony Edwards. Number two, Kate Cunningham. Three, Franz Wagner. I think is it Wagner?
Wagner. Wagner.
Wagner. Yeah, I always get that one wrong. And then number tied for fourth is his teammate Paulo and Tyrese Maxey. So, I mean, Anthony Edwards, number one. I said it before. I think this is the season that he takes a superstar leap. I can see him averaging 30 plus this season. I think he is going to be the next big star in the NBA out of this batch of young talent right now. But I am happy to see Cade Cunningham because he was a former number one pick. He missed most of last year with an injury and stuff like that. And you're number one pick for a reason.
Yeah.
Detroit has some stuff going on over there. They have some a little bit of talent. They're making some noise. So it'll be nice to see him, kind of see if he can be the not the missing piece of the puzzle. I think there's still a few pieces that are missing, but I think, if he's healthy, they have a better idea of the direction they can go down in the future. And I like Cade Cunningham. I like his game. So I hope that he has a great year this year.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think Detroit's whole situation, I think right now their main issue is just age and experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have pretty much their starting lineup set for the most part. I don't know whether Cade Cunningham's going to run the one or be the small forward in their lineups if they still want to start Killian. I don't really know what the deal
And
is there.
They have Jaden Ivey at their two
They got
guard as
Jaden Ivey
well.
there as well.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And they added a Sir Thompson, which I
Yeah.
think
Oh yeah, that's
him and
right.
his brother are
Mm-hmm.
big playmakers. Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Duren's a beast, literally a
He's a
man amongst boys.
He is. He is a big boy. And then you have Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman fighting over minutes. And
I
both
like
those guys are former number two overall picks.
Yep. Like I really do like this list that's set up. I think Tyrese Maxey is an interesting one because kind of seems like James Harden
That's
is
going to
gonna
be based off of what happens, right?
but I think the pieces that I'm kind of mad aren't showing up in this thing. They gotta show some love to my boy LaMelo Ball, man. Like, call me
Okay.
biased if
Some
you want.
Hornets love.
I don't even care. Like the kid averaged 23 and like 8 and 8 this past season with
It
only
just
playing 36 games.
comes down to health. Yeah, I mean
It does.
that's the biggest thing. He's got the numbers.
It absolutely. I think that's the one thing that's really killing me looking at this thing. No LaMelo Ball is kind of like wow. I think seeing two Orlando Magic players is great though because Franz really is like that,
Right.
and
Oh, he's
I'm glad
nasty.
that they have him up here. Like he's 6'10", has handle. He could play the 2 through the 4 in this league. It's going to be great to see what Orlando does. Like their whole roster just makes me happy.
They have a
Being
nice
young
core.
teams just
They
makes
have a
me.
nice core. They absolutely do. But yeah, I think overall, like you're right, there are a few guys that are maybe missing from this list. Tyrese Maxey's kind of like that's dependent on what happens in Philly. I mean, as of this morning, James Harden didn't show up to Philly. He's in Houston. Could be at one of the strip clubs. Could have overslept. I don't know what's going on with him.
Maybe
So who
maybe not.
knows? Maybe, maybe not. But we shall see what happens. I have high hopes for Anthony Edwards, and obviously so do NBA GMs. Now let's move on to positional ones. And honestly, like a lot of these are just like blowouts. Like these are just like not even close. Some of these. So we
Yeah.
got who is the best point guard in the NBA? Steph, number one at 63%. Luka, who was also not to give a spoiler, but was also voted on for shooting guard and small forward, is on this at 27%. Number two, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, three, and Damian Lillard at four. I mean, it makes sense why Steph got is number one. He's got all the votes and stuff. But I do feel like there are a few guys that I could have been mentioned that were left off this list. It's also confusing to me how a lot of these guys get voted multiple times. Like Steph is the number two ranked shooting guard. Shea Gilgis is, also being ranked as a shooting guard. Luka is in all three, like I mentioned. Um, I would like to see, it being spread out a little bit more. I personally think, and maybe you'll agree with me, I think someone like Kyrie Irving, should be mentioned in this list. Obviously he's got some off the court stuff, that has happened over the last
He's
year
been
or so.
quiet this
But
summer.
he's been quiet
He's been
this off.
quiet this summer.
Except he did say one thing. He was like, "I wish I got drafted by Dallas and stuff like that because they accept me."
That's not
That's stage
even
one.
a big deal.
That's stage one, Jerry.
No,
That's
no,
stage
no, no.
one.
It's
That
not even a big deal.
Mavs fans are like, "Oh, he's gonna get his jersey retired. He's gonna
Oh,
he's gonna retire with us, and the next offseason he's gonna want out." But anyway, we're in this offseason. The season's coming up. On the court, Kyrie Irving is one of the best, most talented players to ever pick up a basketball. We have talked about this before. I don't have to beat a dead horse. Kyrie Irving, no matter what is going on with him off the floor, in the locker room, in the media, when he is playing, he is on the court. There are very few players point guard or not, that are better than him. I do think he is someone that should have gotten a little bit more love. But again, GM votes, they consider everything. I think that's the reason why he's not on here.
Yeah, I don't really know if they consider everything, but
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, guys got to put the ball in the basket. They got to go out and
Mhm.
perform. And Kyrie could do that. Hopefully, stays healthy this year to see all that stuff. So
That's another thing. You have to be
I'm
healthy as
definitely
well.
right there with you. I think Steph is like I would vote him the best point guard if I had a vote. But to see,
Yeah.
I don't know, just seeing this big discrepancy between like names. Like you said, all of these are pretty much landslides as we go throughout. But like, damn, like 63% of Steph
That's a
Curry.
lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like the next closest person only has 27.
Right.
That's a major, major gap. And even from Luka to Shea.
And Luca, for a guy that's putting up 30, 10, and 10 borderline, too. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. I just,
that's a pretty big
that's where
jump.
my head is at with these point guard rankings. How I feel about guys like Steph, Luca, and not Luca, Steph, Kyrie, and Dame are like all in the same bracket. They're all in the
Right.
same realm. Like I think,
And Dame even only got 33%. He averaged 32 a game last year.
I
32,
guess
33, or whatever it was.
these GM lists, man. Like I get like maybe it's like a case. I don't know how the ballot looks, right? Is it like a case of who's the best point guard in the league, and everybody just wrote down Steph, right? Like I don't.
Yeah, it's like, is it check off boxes? Is it you
Yeah.
fill it in yourself? Yeah, I'm not
Are,
sure. But
are they finding the averages of each answer? Like, I don't know how all of this is like accumulated into just
maybe you give like your top five or top three or something. Like, I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know how it works. But however they do it, they love Steph, that's for sure. And then going into the shooting guards, which is ironic, leading the way at number one, also 63% of votes, is Devin Booker. And at number two is Steph Curry at shooting guard. Then you got Luka, so another repeat.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, another repeat. Those three are tied for 7% at the
I don't
bottom.
like that. Like, why?
It's
Why are
so
we?
I don't understand like why you
Like,
consider guys both like Steph isn't a shoot. Well, he is a shooting guard, but he's the point guard. You know what I mean?
by
Like, he's
by
not listed as a
trade,
shooting guard.
by trade, Steph plays more like a two. That's the stigma that everybody
Sure,
has,
but
right?
he is the point guard
I think
on
it's
the
just because Chris
Warriors.
Paul is there right now.
I guess,
Oh no.
but I don't know. It's just confusing, and I think again it kind of take away guys that like actually are listed at that position. So you're kind of
Like,
taking
yeah.
away like love that could be given to them, you know. So and like Luca, like why is like what is Luca? Because now I'm going to get into small forwards. Okay, small forward Jason Tatum, number one at 47%, KD at 20%, Luca at three with 17%, and then LeBron at 13, Kawhi 3%. I see the look on your face. This is the one I want to get to the most because I feel like this is the one where there's more debate than any other position.
Like I believe we played a game earlier in our podcast
Mm-hmm.
episodes of start bench cut with LeBron, KD, and Tatum.
Yes, and you cut Tatum because he's the young pup.
Just because he's the young pup. It's like
Yep.
I think these percentages, like Tatum could be the best small forward in the league. That doesn't bother me. If you say that, it's like, okay, I mean, shoot, he's
I
25, 26 years old. He just came
sure.
off a season where he averaged 30. He's been to an NBA finals, several Eastern Conference finals. Like, love
Yeah.
Tatum, but it's just I'm fine with him at one. Like if you would have had him like at 30% at number one, cool. LeBron and KD should have been like on his ass, like tied
Sure.
for
Mm-hmm.
second place or something like
Yeah, I'm
that.
surprised KD got a low amount of votes, excuse me, at 20%. And again, Luca getting 17%. Like, what are we doing? Like, what do we? I don't know. I don't get that.
I think
That part
naturally
confuses me.
coming in, his position was at small.
He was listed at small forward, correct? But I mean, I guess he plays multiple positions for the Mavericks. But like, there should be some criteria. There should be something that they do where it's like you can only vote if you're voting for one player. It can only be based off like one position. Like you can't repeat or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how this shit works. Like we said, but like I don't. It is kind of weird. Also, as strange as it sounds, even though it's year 21 for him, it is strange seeing LeBron James like only
Yeah,
at number four. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
definitely
I'm not
should
cool with
be.
that.
He definitely should still be top three. I'm also fine with Tatum being at number one. I just think like him being at his age, you know what he did last year, what
Yeah,
he could do this year. I do think that makes sense. KD obviously being one of three in Phoenix now, even though I still believe he is the most skilled offensive player that the league may have ever seen. Um,
Fair.
and LeBron James is still LeBron James. I mean, that doesn't change.
I'm just not really feeling this like these landslides. Like maybe
Me
point
neither.
guard, sure, have a big gap, I guess. Two guard, even like personally, I think a guy like maybe Donovan Mitchell or a Bradley Beal. I know he missed time last year.
Should get a
Those
little
guys
bit
could have
more
made a
love.
yeah,
Hmm.
but like in a small forward, this small forward gap with the next guy being 27%
I
away,
can't believe that it's that big of a gap.
it's
Yeah, that
these
shouldn't be.
GMs.
The forward position probably is the most competitive as far as like who people
Yeah,
argue is the best. So the fact
yeah.
that it's that big of a difference is kind of shocking. No, I agree with
I'm not with it, man. Just like you said, seeing LeBron all the way down there and KD kind of being that second tier guy that's that far. Like, no, Tatum's not that far ahead of any of the guys that are listed beneath him.
you.
There shouldn't be that
Yeah,
big
no,
of a
I
gap.
agree. Hey, I'm with you. Now we want to talk about big gaps here. Who is the best power forward in the NBA? We got Giannis at number one with 97% and Kevin Durant with 3%. So those are the
Fair,
only two players that got votes.
fair,
I think that's
cool.
fine. We can move on. Who is the best center in the NBA? Number one, Nikola Jokic, 93%. I didn't include the rest because it was just a group of other guys that got like probably one vote each. But
See, now we got beef. Like now we got beef again. Like me and these GM. I'm not saying I can take
where's
Nate out,
Embiid?
man.
I can't believe Embiid didn't get like
Like
more than one vote.
60
That's
40.
insane.
Can we get a
That's
60-40
insane.
split or something like?
Even like 70-30, I think would have been like, okay, at least he got something. Like he got
Yeah.
nothing. He got nothing.
And where's
He
Anthony
just won
Davis?
the MVP. He just won the MVP. Anthony Davis didn't crack any of these.
And that's so crazy. Not even at power forward or center. Like we're talking about
Nothing.
his two
Nothing.
main positions. We didn't see his name pop up in either spot. Like I get that we're talking like a ranking and who's what,
Hmm.
but for him not to have a spot in either top five or not even list, not it wasn't even worth listing.
Yeah. Hmm.
Giannis being
Crazy.
97% of the vote, I could say Giannis is better than Anthony Davis. Cool. I'm cool with that. But can my man get like 10%? 15?
Yeah.
Like when I don't see their
Anything.
names pop up in
Anything.
this thing, I feel like if we're not seeing it on the list, oh, he's a scrub. He doesn't belong here. Like
Right.
like it's
We're
like
not being we're not being serious when we don't include these big names. I mean, listen, Anthony Davis when he's healthy, borderline top five player in the NBA. I don't think that's really much of a hot take. It's just crazy how they don't even get
and
mentioned. They get nothing.
you mentioned health, right?
Mm-hmm.
My boy Kawhi got a 3% vote.
Out. So yeah, Kawhi did get some love for the best small forwards, and where's
Because
he been the last 2 years? Yeah.
we know when he's healthy, that boy is a top 5 to top 10 player as well. So how come we're not showing the same type of energy
It's the
towards Anthony Davis
it's the
who's
same
playing more
thing.
games?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm with you. I don't understand how this process works. These GMs probably do have some bias. They have some personal vendettas against some of these players. They
Lay
don't
off
want
him
to give them
first.
their vote. Lay off or whatever the hell they're taking. All right, so move on from positional. We got a few left here, and then we'll get into some games. Which team will be the most improved in the 2023-2024 season? Number one, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder, which coming off of a play-in berth, almost made the playoffs. The Houston Rockets at number two, and then tied for third, we have the Mavs, Pistons, and Magic. So a lot of young teams, and then the Mavericks just thrown right in the middle there. Yeah, I mean, I think the Thunder, they have so much going for them. Obviously, they did not have their second overall pick last year, who got hurt in the offseason. So they bring him in another year of just improvement from all their young guys. Like I said, they made the play-in tournament, so they're coming into the season with that confidence of yeah, we're probably the youngest team in the league on average, but like
Yeah,
we can still like do stuff. You know what I mean? Like we can still like make some noise, which I do believe they can. I think they have enough talent to do that. A good mix of guys. Both Josh Giddey, Shea, Chet, like I mentioned, both of the Jalen Williams.
yep.
I think two of them. They have the same name, just spelt different. They have a lot of talent and they have a ton of picks, so they can make a
What?
lot of moves if they wanted to.
Exactly. That's what I was going to allude to. Like getting that trade out the way with Houston with the Kevin Porter deal that just went on.
Two
They
more
now
picks.
have 37 total picks until 2027.
Ridiculous.
And
That's
I think the thing that needs to be highlighted the most, yeah, they can add young talent, as the years progress, or they can just trade it.
trade. Are you
Nowadays,
kidding me? Oh
what does
my
it take to
god.
get a star player? You need multiple picks. Guys go for 4 first rounders or 2 firsts and 2 seconds.
You got Bradley Beal going for multiple second round picks. You know what I mean? You
I
can
believe, like I literally
they
just
can do a
wrote,
lot.
I just wrote about OKC and their abundance of picks. Like I think OKC has 22 second rounders and 15 first rounders. So they could just burn away those picks on a disgruntled star like Joel Embiid that could become available if Harden leaves.
Sure.
Things
I
kind of
remember some people were saying they should go after Lillard when everything was going on. Bring Lillard to
yeah.
OKC. You know, you could really start. You could start something down there with all those picks.
Teams could
Um,
start over.
Genuinely, like if they're looking to trade their star players, OKC is the first team you probably want to look at because of all their cap space, all their picks and stuff. So I love the future for the Thunder. I do agree that they are probably the team that could be most improved
Yeah.
next year. The Rockets at number two, obviously
Love
they
it.
brought in a new head coach, Ime Udoka.
Your
Bringing
boy.
in some other guys. Yeah, my boy Ime Udoka. Bringing in some newer guys. Jabari Smith, coming in for his second year, see how he does. Jalen Green, how will he do with a new head coach? How will he, kind of control? I know he's kind of like he's a volume shooter, volume scorer, and stuff like that. How will he adjust to being more of like a, reserved guard? How will everything flow in
I
that
think
system?
coaching there is going to be huge for Jalen and
I
Fred
agree.
VanVleet's there as well. So
Yeah, Fred Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks, their center, Sanguine, however you pronounce it,
and
Sangoon. I was
come
over
on now.
0 for 2 on that. He's on my fantasy team this year. Mini Jokic, he can do a little bit of everything. So that'll be a fun team to watch. I have League Pass this year, so that I'll definitely be tuning in for a few games there. And then the Mavericks, they missed the playoffs last year with Luka and Kyrie. So people are expecting them to make it back to the playoffs this year, which they
Yeah.
should.
That's the interesting one, right? Them being third on this list is still like kind of odd. There wasn't a lot of roster moves that they made through free agency
Sure.
or the draft. They did add Derek Lively through the draft, which
Hmm.
could fill up some center needs for him, but they do have the two best players like on this whole list of teams, right? With Luka and Kyrie. So I think that's definitely one of those gigs where they go as far as those guys take them because they're going to be all over their backs, pretty much carrying them to wherever the hell they can go. Nowadays, in the words of KD, right? Offense wins championships. They have two of the most supremely talented offensive players in the league today,
Yes,
maybe if
they do.
not of all time. So it should be
Yeah.
interesting. Going down the rest of the list too with Detroit and Orlando. Makes sense why they're tied. I think we touched on them earlier with Franz and Cade and the rest of the cores that they have around them and how young they are. But again, got to give my Charlotte Hornets some love here, man. I think everybody's kind of like putting them down and not worried about them, but LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges when he comes back after this 10-game suspension, PJ, Mark Williams, pretty good starting lineup. And then Brandon Miller and Gordon Hayward
Brandon
are
Miller.
there too.
Yep.
Like this Charlotte
Did
team,
he get? Is that what he got? 10-game suspension, Miles Bridges.
yep.
Okay,
So we're gonna
gotcha.
miss him the first 10 games, but I think he is gonna still be the best two-way player when he becomes healthy again and available. Like after the suspension is served, I do like the Hornets' chances of actually making the postseason this year. No bullshit. I think if everybody stays healthy, and if you look in years past, Gordon Hayward was a was a straw that broke our back every year because he had
He's
us
the,
as
he's
high
the
as the
straw
fourth
that
seed.
broke a few backs,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He broke a few
I'm
backs.
sorry.
Okay,
I'm
it's
sorry.
all right. It's
But
okay. He
yeah,
broke a
like
few things, not just his back. He broke he
yeah.
broke some other body parts as well.
Literally, the man had Charlotte as a 4 to 5 seed every single year. Then he got hurt, and the Hornets tumbled out the race. So this year,
Hey,
there's depth around that position. I feel pretty good about Charlotte being a 5 to 6 seed, like
okay.
at best. I feel good
Mhm.
about them. I really do.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Like I said to you before, you covering the Hornets. I hope that they have a great season, so you have some fun down there. You're able to cover a really good team.
I've been on the job for 5 years, and I have yet to cover a postseason. God, please, God, help me out.
just one,
Please.
just 1 year,
I
please.
want to see the
Throw me a
t-shirts.
bone. Throw Jerry a bone. Come
Everybody
on.
has the t-shirts laid out on the chairs and stuff when they walk in. I want to see that. Like, help me out.
Yeah. Jerry's been grinding. Reward the kid. Reward the kid. All right. So we're gonna move. We have three more here. This one might be this might be easy. Who will win the 2023-2024 Rookie of the Year? At number one, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised he only is at 50%, Victor Wembanyama. Number two, Scoot Henderson. And number three, Chet. Obviously, he was the pick last year, but missed the full season. So, now this is his rookie season. I mean, Victor being number one makes sense. You get it. Surprised he isn't a little higher just because of bias and just like how people are treating him and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I got you.
But obviously, Scoot and Chet are two guys that, especially Scoot, who is going to like the Damian Lillard era is over in Portland. Scoot's
Mhm.
going to step in. Obviously, you have other guys in there that will be able to score. Anthony, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton is there. So it's not like Scoot's going to be the clear number one or anything like that. He's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to get a lot of. He's going to be very involved on that team. And then Chet, he is a unicorn in his own right. I think that Oklahoma City Thunder team, like we mentioned, is looking to be the most improved team in the league. These awards, like Rookie of the Year, you don't account team success as much as like an MVP award or anything like that, or maybe a Defensive
Individual,
Player of the Year.
definitely.
But Chet, if he really is a key piece to the Thunder being a really good team in the West, like that might be something that you have to consider.
Yeah,
That could get him a few extra votes when it all comes down to it.
yeah.
Um, I don't think there's anyone else really that can take away the Rookie of the Year from Victor besides these two, in my opinion. Unless Brandon Miller comes in and starts averaging 20-25 a game, but
It kind of that's all based off of the health of the team. I'd like
right.
Brandon Miller, according to every single veteran that I've been around in the Charlotte with the Charlotte, not even just vets. Like Gordon Hayward's the oldest player on the team at like 33. The rest of the
Mm-hmm.
players are like underneath 26 years old, like other than Terry Rozier maybe, but everybody's just giving very, very glowing responses about Brandon Miller's game. I think the only way that he wins it is if he comes off as a six man and he comes out
Right.
guns a blazing every time. Because unless he
Yeah,
just
he's not
takes
going to start. He's not going to start right away. No.
no, I don't know if he ever does. Like it's very possible, but he has to play damn near flawless because of who's in front of him potentially.
Right. Right.
Once Miles comes back, I think that is the starting three for Charlotte. But yeah,
Sure.
now the three names that are on this list, like even with Wemby being at 50%, I think it's kind of what I expect.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the hype and all that stuff, like I think most GMs are probably skeptical to see how Greg Popovich decides to use him because we've seen how he
Sure.
used rookies in the past. Think back to David Robinson and Tim Duncan, if you will, but even like guys more recently like Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson and these guys, he kind of reins them in a little bit. Obviously, Wemby falls into a different bracket because this is next
Every
big
sports
name.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, so like it's exciting to see, but yeah, definitely. I think Chet Holmgren is who I will still pencil in on.
Sure.
Like I'm
If I
not
had to
like a
pick
big
number two, I think I'd put Chet ahead of Scoop, to be honest with
same,
you.
same.
I
I'm not really
would.
like a big like analytical nerd, but I think of like defensive win shares and like different
Right.
types of impacts, plus minus. I think Chet's gonna
I
be
think Chet's going to impact the Thunder a lot more than Scoot in the first year. I
yeah.
agree. I
Because like I
agree.
think you already said it right. Like he was the number two pick in the draft in years past. I think automatically we're looking at him like he's a number three kind of guy on the squad behind Giddy and SGA. And
Mm-hmm.
like I think he fits their games perfectly. Both of those guys are perimeter guys, perimeter scorers, and Josh Giddey's the playmaker. Then you got Chet, who's this I can rebound, I can block shots, I can hit an open three. Like he's a perfect player to put alongside a young backcourt of Shea and Josh Giddey there. So
That'll be an exciting team to watch, too. That'll be a
definitely.
very fun team to watch. Okay, two more. Who is the best defensive player in the NBA? Number one, Giannis at 40%. Number two, the newest member of the Boston Celtics, Drew Holiday. And then tied for three, we have Draymond Green and Marcus Smart. And then tied for fourth, we have Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year, and Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, I think Giannis is undoubtedly the best defensive player in the NBA. Just covering 1 to 5, I don't think there really isn't anything. There's nothing that he can't do on the defensive end. Um, Drew Holiday, one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defender. Draymond is Draymond. Marcus Smart is he's a guard, but he's definitely a guy that you can throw on anyone on the floor, and he has no issue locking up with anyone on the opposing end. Jared Jackson, Defensive Player of the Year, of course, and then Kawhi Leonard. When he's healthy, we know what
Hey,
he can do. We know what he can do.
I don't think there's much really for me to chip in here. I just want to give a shout out to Kawhi for making it again, but also Draymond. Like everybody that kind of shits on him every single summer, every single year, every single game, triple single, all this, all that. This is where his value is. Like this is where he's the most valuable at on this end of the floor.
For sure.
Being able to guard 1 through 5, despite not being the most athletic guy, he's definitely probably one of the smartest players that this game has ever seen. So
For
just want to
sure.
give him a shout out. Giannis, yeah, definitely cool with him having it by a landslide. The only landslide that I'm cool with, I gotta say.
All right. Now we have one more. And another landslide, ending it on a landslide. I feel like that's been a big trend here. Who
Yep.
is the best head coach in the NBA? Number 1, Eric Spoelstra, 73%. Number 2, Tyronn Lue, only 10%. Then tied for 3, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. And at number 5, Michael Malone at 3%. Uh, Eric Spoelstra, I do believe, is up there. I do think he is one of
Yeah.
the best, if not the best head coach, but
This landslide though.
I don't think it should have been by as much as it is here. I really think Tyronn Lue. I mean, Greg Popovich, I get it. He doesn't. The
Longevity.
records don't show it, but like, let's be honest. Greg Popovich is always going to be up there as one of the best coaches. Then Michael Malone just coming off an NBA championship.
But let me say though, because not to switch gears here too much, but when you look at the football side of things, how Bill Belichick is like 1-5, and everybody's like low
Oh,
key
fuck
ready
Bill
to.
Belichick. Fuck Bill Belichick, bro.
You see what I mean though?
I'm sick of him.
This is a guy that has one more championship in his sport than Greg Popovich, but we
Yeah.
kind of are ready to burn Bill to the stake right now, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Pop is just such a lovable guy. Oh, there's 82 games. What if I won 20 of them? Like, it's like I get, obviously, based off of longevity, based off of what they already did and accomplished, that's why Pop is in here. And that's why Bill Belichick
Right.
was like, still at the upper echelon. But, dude, this year, I need to see something else. Like,
No, I'm with you. I agree.
I rate you to the criteria of what you've done. What have you done for me lately, right?
Sure.
I can't tell you the last time the Spurs were in the playoffs. I think it's
Probably
Lamar Aldridge.
I was going to say
2016,
DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge days.
Yeah, like I'm not like, again, Pop could be here just because I think that's more of like an honorary.
It's
like,
a respect. I
mention.
think it's a respect thing for sure.
Yeah, like
I mean, let's look. I mean, where is the I don't know his name, but where's the head coach for the Oklahoma City Thunder? I feel like he's someone
Mark Dagenhall, Coach Dagenhall.
Monty Williams. I feel like he's always someone that he's a respectable coach. I know he's kind of been bouncing. I think he's in Detroit now. I think he was in Phoenix last year, right? Yeah, he was in Phoenix. There's a few other guys that aren't mentioned here, and when you have one guy taking up all the votes, you're not going to get much love. All these other guys. So, like Eric Spoelstra, it's not that I have an issue with him being number 1. It's just the fact that it's by so much. Like, I don't know if he's a great coach, but I don't know if it's.
I would give him the number 1 nod, just like you. I think it's a matter of that he drug dirt essentially to the finals, right? I know you got Jimmy and Bam, and then the rest of the crop is undrafted players. Of course, you have Tyler Hero, who was a first-round pick, but undrafted players, second-round picks.
He really wasn't even like healthy in the playoffs.
I give Spo the nod at number 1, but again, like just like how we had the discussions about the positions, right? Like, is there really that big of a gap? Are you that much better of a coach than Tyronn Lue? Or an NBA champion, by the way, Steve Kerr, a 4-time NBA champ as a coach, Greg Popovich, and who was the last name on this list? I got rid of it. Michael Malone, who just is fresh off. Who you lost to?
Just won a championship.
I would take Spo over like a Michael Malone and a Greg Popovich right now, but Ty Lue and Steve Kerr, I think those 3 guys should have been a lot closer in the rankings. And show some love to Darvin Ham, who turned the season around, right? And happened to get his guys back.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all these other guys need to get love. These surveys are all over the place. They're confusing. I'd love to actually find out how they go about this, but hey, we're not GMs, but we can always give our
Hey,
takes, and that's what we
in
just did.
2K,
So
I am a
50 minutes. Yeah, damn right. Damn right. I got my face scan in there. Dante Toro is GMing it up in there. All right, so that's us, discussing all the GM survey stuff. 50 minutes in, Jerry.
Woo.
Let's get to
Yeah,
the
let's
game.
do it, man. I got three.
The long summer wait is over, as basketball is finally back in our lives. Sorry you have to go back to work, Joker. Days are getting shorter, but nights are going to get a lot brighter thanks to the sponsor of this video, DraftKings Sportsbook, who has a special offer to celebrate the return of hoops. By just throwing down $5 on any basketball game, new customers will instantly get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code SITTING. New customers will get $200 in bonus bets instantly for just betting $5. Only on DraftKings with the code SITTING. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in ONT. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Now back to the video. You were excited. You were texting me yesterday that you have some good ones
Yeah.
for me. So I want you to start because I'm also excited
Yeah,
to
like
hear
like
what you
I
got.
think I've tackled a lot of big statty games with you as of late in these episodes. I kind of want to shy away from that now that we're
Mhm.
getting closer to the season. Let's get deeper into just like
Okay.
our opinions, our takes and stuff like that. So the first game I have for you is kind of like a what if scenario. Meaning if this happens, what would it take for it to happen? You following?
Okay.
So, the
Sure.
first
Yeah.
scenario, Anthony Edwards will win an MVP if
If the Minnesota Timberwolves are a top 2 seed in the Western Conference, I'm not even going to say like 4 or anything like that. Like they have to be like top of the Western Conference, and he needs to have just an outbreak. Just like I said, I think he's going to average 30 points per game this year. I think not only do you need to see an increase in points, but also just all around. Getting 6, 7 rebounds, maybe upping it to 5, 6 assists a game. Showing that you not only can you score, but you can allow your teammates to score and get your teammates open looks and stuff. I love Anthony Edwards, and I do believe that he is very capable of winning an MVP in his at some point in his career, but he needs to have a legit legitimate superstar jump for that to happen and then also the Timberwolves to be a top 2 seed in the Western Conference and
so
above
we
the
need to
Western
see a full
Conference.
floor game from Ant, and obviously everything else in
Mhm.
the team just elevates. I like it now. I made sure I threw in
Yeah,
Anthony Edwards just for you. I know that's your boy.
of course, I know. And I respect that. That it's that I said earlier. There's a lot of talent in the NBA. It's very hard to win an MVP when you have so many guys putting up crazy numbers. So a lot of good things need to
Right now,
happen
of course.
for him to do
Now let's
that.
go more team based for this next one. The Denver Nuggets will repeat as
Okay.
NBA champions if
They follow the same model as last season. I mean, obviously they lost a few guys, but they still have their core group of players. They have other guys that'll probably step up. Christian
yep.
Braun, I believe his name is. He's a guy that's going to look to have a more elevated role this year. Nikola Jokic is still leading the charge there. I think as long as he is still doing his thing, they're always going to be in that contending for a championship, in that tier. And Jamal Murray, I mean, he had that bad injury a few years ago, and look what he did this past postseason. He was one of the best players on the floor, just lighting it up in the NBA Finals and the playoffs. I mean, I don't really think much needs to change for them to go back to being, to win another championship back to back. Obviously, there's a lot more talent. The Western Conference is stacked and stuff like that, but the Nuggets are still the team to beat in the West. So as long as they kind of do the same thing they were doing last year. You have some, role players step up and stuff, and you get, what you do out of your star players. I don't see why
All
they
right.
can't repeat.
Staying in the West here for this last one as well, the Dallas Mavericks could make
Mhm.
it to the NBA Finals if.
If Luka and Kyrie each play 82 games,
So they're not
I mean,
going.
they need to stay on the floor, man, and they're not going. No, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you need your star players to always be there. And we talked about the Mavs. Like, they made some moves this offseason, but not enough for it's like, okay, like Luka and Kyrie can miss some time and we have all these other guys that can step up. It's not really like that. Like, if you really want to make a run, you want to go far, you need both your star players to be there. And I think both of them are good enough where if they play most, if, all the season, if not most of it, they should be, one of the better teams in the Western Conference. They're two of the best offensive players the game has ever seen. They're good enough to like bring a team that far, but it comes down to health and just, obviously off the floor stuff gets involved as well. But both those guys need to be available. Luca has had numerous amounts of injuries. I think right now he has a calf strain. So, he's been sitting out some preseason games or barely playing. Kyrie has all different things going on with who knows what the storyline is going to be with him this season, but like both of them need to play. They just need to play. That's the only way I see it happening. Um, yeah,
Yeah, hey,
unfortunately.
I thought your answers were pretty good. That's all I got for that first game. I really just want to get takes here, get opinions, and you gave some pretty damn good ones. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I have three games for you, and one of them is also an opinionated game as well.
Cool.
So a little bit different, but we talked about this earlier with one of the GM surveys. But I want you, Jerry, I want you to give me your top five MVP candidates going into this year. Who do you think is going to finish the season as the top five? You don't have to give like an order or anything if you don't want to, but who are going to be the top five players that finish in MVP
Yeah.
voting
Wow.
after this year?
I think for the first three, you already know kind of where know I'm going with this. I'm gonna go Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. I think
Mm-hmm.
the top three will look exactly the same as it did in years past. I think those are just the
Sure.
easy three shoe-ins, right?
And I think we didn't even mention this. I think Embiid, we have to also factor in the whole James Harden situation with Embiid. If Harden isn't there, Embiid could put up like 35, 36 points a game. Like that scoring, like 33 points as a center is crazy, but that could go up
Yeah.
if Harden isn't there, and so he needs to take more
I
control of
definitely
the
think no
offense.
matter what happens, with or without Harden, the offense will run through Joel Embiid, and like it's his numbers shouldn't
100%.
change. Like if, like you said, it should go up scoring wise, if any.
Yeah, if anything,
Um,
it's going to go up.
as for
Mm-hmm.
the 4 and 5 spots, I think that's where things get a little trickier. We seen SGA make a crazy leap this past season, right, with averaging 35 and 5 or whatever it
Yep,
was, averaging stealing a block a game, which is huge for me to see two way things.
crazy.
But I think
Yep.
dang. See, availability is what you mentioned in the game that we played just a minute ago. I want to say Luca because I think that's always the beginning of the season like treat, right?
Right, because we also have the
Yep.
65 game rule now. You have to play 65 games to be
Exactly.
considered
And
for these
Luca
major
has
awards.
not
Yep.
been the most durable person, as you alluded to, in his career. So I can't
No.
really even put him up there. I think I got to go with the more durable guys, the consistent guys. So I'm gonna put Jason Tatum back in there because I think year after year he plays around 70 plus games. I think that's someone I can rely on to be there, especially for as a star player. And at five,
Yep. So before you get into it, I just looked up Luca's numbers and games played. This is actually crazy. So his rookie year, he played 72 games. Then the last 4 years, you have 61, 66,
oh
65,
wow,
66. He floats, he literally floats right around that 65 game
that is
mark.
pretty
That's
insane.
crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, he's always going to be right on the cusp of winning
Yeah, but even
awards
with
and
that
stuff.
being said, though, like I still don't know if the team's going to be good enough to actually, win something.
Right. Yeah, and I think in history, like I think maybe one of the only exceptions of someone winning the award outside of the top four seed in
Yep.
their conference was
Yep.
Russell Westbrook when he had the triple double. Every single year, it's always a guy that's on a successful team, a
Hmm.
top four seed team in their
Exactly. I
conference.
think for this last spot though, I'm kind of think outside the box here. I think my mind wants to say Shea. Hell, my heart wants to say Shea. Man, I love watching that kid play. But
Mm,
I'm gonna give I'm gonna give some
hmm
love to the old man, man. I'm gonna give some love to Steph Curry. I think we're all kind of
Okay,
like
I like it.
forgetting about the Warriors a
Hmm
little bit. They didn't add a center, which I really felt like they needed. I wish they would have signed Dwight. I don't know why they passed on him. But I think Steph, like definitely the Warriors dynasty, even though losing Jordan Poole, who should have been one of those guys for a breakout season in that GM survey, by the way,
Oh my
explode.
God, dude,
He's gonna explode.
he's gonna
But I
go off and
think
score.
losing a guy
Yeah,
like that puts
yeah.
even
hmm
more pressure on who's already on the roster. So like Steph, like Clay, like Draymond, obviously they've been doing it for 10 plus years now. But they also have a couple new pieces. Like I like the Pods. I don't know his first name, but I know his nickname is Pods. One of their rookies out there, like kind of white kid, redhead, has a smooth game. I kind of
Yeah,
like what
I
I've seen
know.
from.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
then,
know
of
who you're
course,
talking
Wiggins,
about. Yeah,
Von Looney, like they still have the same group, but that same group made it to the postseason when a lot of
yeah.
people kind of penciled them out. Then you add Chris Paul. So kind of want to see what CP does.
Honestly, Chris Paul could do wonders
Think
for
about what he
Steph
did
in
for
the
James Harden.
score.
You
Taking
know,
more
Chris
control.
Paul elevated the hell out of James
Right.
Harden's game. Why can't he elevate
Yeah,
Steph Curry's, who plays better off the ball than what James Harden did? So
one of
I
the
think
best
he
off
is
of
the
one
best
seven.
football player
Yeah,
ever. Like, maybe
sure,
there's a debate
sure.
with Ray and Reggie,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah, no,
fair.
I like Steph Curry. I think that's my five: Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, Tatum, Curry. I think that's good. That's going to be our 2023-2024 season top five MVP candidates.
I love it. There you go. I think
Just
that's a
like
great list.
my heart wants to be like Anthony Davis. I think has a shot, but durability, it's huge, man.
Durability. It is. You have to really count that into when you make these rankings and stuff like
All
that.
right, game number
All right,
two,
what do
man.
you
We
got for
haven't
me?
done it in a little while, but I'm gonna play a little game of blind
Oh,
ranked. So yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, we
we
haven't
kind
done
of
that in
strayed
a
away
while.
from it. So I just need
Okay.
you to blind rank these five players. Let's kick it off with Carl Anthony Towns.
Are these all the
All
same
different.
position or all
Maybe I should have
different?
went with a theme, but yeah, it's all different. All
All.
different.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Carl Anthony Towns. He's very talented. He can do a lot. He's a very talented player. I do believe he is one of the better big men in the NBA, just of his versatility and able to do a lot. He's a guy that I feel like I should put right in the middle. I feel like there's a few guys that are below him, but then there are definitely guys that are better than him.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put Cat at. I'm
I
gonna
like
put
the
Cat at
logic.
three.
Three is always like the safe.
No,
Oh, he is good. He's talented, but he's not the best. So I got you.
right, exactly. But I might regret that. We'll see
You
who's
might be on
beating
a good
that.
trail right now, at least. Next up, we have LaMelo Ball, my boy.
I do love me some LaMelo Ball. Great all around player. Like he just needs to stay healthy, needs to stay on the floor. But because of how young he is, I think I'm gonna put Melo at
I think that's fair.
four.
I mean, you did say
I'm gonna put Melo at four. I do think like I mean he's uber talented. I think he's a guy that can give you a triple double every night. Like that's
yeah,
his type of game, you know what I mean? But he has to he needs to have a good full season in the NBA without getting hurt and like just being able to do it in an 82
of
game
course. Now you're
sample
like,
size or close to 80.
yeah,
Now he hasn't have to play
yeah,
every year. You know what I mean?
I got
For
you. I mean, hey,
most
like
of the season.
you mentioned the youth, which I think is a huge part. This has to be a huge year for him. I think last year he did average
Mm,
around 4 turnovers a game. So that's part of the, the
yeah,
age gifted
yeah.
passer, but needs to be a little more, eh.
It needs to clean it up a little bit.
Next name
Needs
I
to
have
clean
for
it up.
you, which I feel like I know where you will rank him at, is Zach Levine.
See, I don't want to put I if I put him at five, then I have to like bank on these last two guys being really fucking good. But like if I put him at two, I mean, is he better than
Yeah.
Cat?
These are the questions you got to ask yourself. Is he better than Cat and LaMelo Ball if you put him at two?
I don't think so. I do like me some Zach Levine. I do think he is holding on to a dunk contest trophy that
Absolutely.
shouldn't be in his possession. I
Conversation for
do
another
think
day.
he
We'll be
has
here all
one
day.
extra. Yeah, I do think he has an extra trophy on his mantle that he definitely doesn't have. But I'm gonna put Zach
Very,
LaVine at
very
number three.
safe. I like the way you're playing this.
I could have put him at two. I'm nervous though because I only have one and two now, so
Would
these
I
guys
ever
are
steer you
stuck.
wrong,
But
Dante? Yeah, I
yes,
probably would.
yes, you absolutely would. Yeah, you would, and you might, and
All
you
right,
probably
man.
are
Look,
right now. Who do you got next?
one of the last names I got for you here,
Fuck.
Anthony Davis.
Ooh. Ooh, now do you have okay, well that's fine. That's fine. Are you gonna give me someone that's better or worse than Anthony Davis? That's what I have to think about now. I think I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna put Anthony Davis at
I
one.
like your list. I think you did a very good job with this because the last name I have for you is Devin Booker.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I think Davis and
Yeah.
Booker can be intertwined. I think you can kind of debate who there, but I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that for sure. Okay, so Davis, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, LaMelo, and
This is
Zach LaVine.
that's a solid pot. I told
Not
you I wouldn't
terrible.
steer you wrong,
That's
man.
not terrible.
Not today.
Not today. Not today. Yeah, not today. You did pretty solid there. That was a good bunch of players.
Very random.
Different players, but I like it. I have
Let's
two more
go.
games for you. All right. We haven't done this one in a while. But people like this one. This one did very well on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. So we're gonna do part two. Who has this player teamed with the most? So I'm going to give you an NBA player. Yeah, you love this one. I'm going to give you an NBA player. I'm going to give you four NBA players, actually. And I want you to tell me who you think they have teamed with the most throughout their career. A lot of things to consider for these games. But I think you'll do well. I think you'll do well
Man,
here.
let's
All right.
go.
The first player that I have for you is Giannis.
Oh my gosh! Like you just want to say the first name that comes to mind, right? It's like, oh, it's like playing around the world with multiplication tables when
Right.
you're a kid. Uh, shit. I don't even want to say that name first, but it has to be. But I feel like he started part of his career in Detroit and then came over to Milwaukee. You know what? Let's not. Chris Middleton, man.
He did.
Chris Middleton, right?
That is correct. I'm happy you didn't second guess yourself because Chris Middleton's number one with 671 games, and number two at 335 games is John
What's
Henson.
crazy,
Remember
I
John
was
Henson?
thinking John Henson because I felt like they came in the league together. And I
Really?
was like, John Henson's probably the guy
Right.
in my head. But okay, cool. Awesome.
Yep, there you go. One for one so far. The next player I have for you is Paul George.
Oh,
On a few teams. He's been on a few teams, some longer than others. He was
Indiana,
healthier on some
obviously, is
teams.
where he played the most years, I'm pretty sure. I feel like there's like a 7 year span or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it has to be
For sure.
somebody.
Missed a year. Did miss a year with that
I'm
injury.
walking
But
down.
still think he is
I'm
tenured
walking
more
down
than
the
a year.
streets of Indianapolis right now, and I'm asking myself,
Who's by his side? Who's next to him? Who's next to
I
Paul
got like a
George? Who do you
George
envision?
Hill, a Lance Stevenson, a Roy Hibbert. Like, we walking in the same
Mm.
circle. We're hitting the Dylan Brooks thing right now, just trying to figure it out. Yeah,
Yeah. Back when Indiana
yeah.
was
That I dubbed him the nickname Indiana George. Like,
they
like
were a
Indiana
great
Jones, but
team.
Indiana George, man. He was
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Shit. Man, this one's a lot tougher. I don't have like a clear cut one. Danny Granger's definitely not even on this list because he was unhealthy too part of his career when he got there. So I can X him out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got to go with that three that I mentioned at first. So it's got to be one of those names. Lance Stevenson didn't even start right away. Monte Ellis is a name that's floating around in my head for some reason too, but I don't think it's him. Yeah, man. Well,
Throwback.
always had the green light in his head. Uh,
Yeah.
this is a tough one, man.
Yes, he
I think
did.
he kind of stumped me. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go Roy Hibbert though. I'm gonna go Roy Hibbert. I don't know. That's wrong. Oh, let's
You're
go.
correct. It is. Roy Hibbert is at 343 games. Number two is George Hill with 335, which also, funny enough, I thought of random players to do for this. George Hill and John Henson, both number two at 335 for their respective players. So I thought that was funny. But no, you're right. Yeah, I don't know where Lance Stevenson would have been on there, but I would have imagined,
Yeah,
that Indiana group
David
is
West
at the
would have been
top. You
another
know what
good
I
one
mean?
too.
David
I'm glad
West
I didn't think
probably
about him
too.
though.
Yep,
Just
absolutely.
kept it simple.
Okay, so we're gonna throw it back a little bit.
Uh oh.
This is not an active player.
Oh wow,
Carmelo Anthony.
wow.
Definitely been made a few
Yeah,
stops.
but
There's only
yeah,
really two
we're
teams
not we're
that
not worried
he was
about
on
like
there
like
for
an
a while.
OKC or an LA or a Houston or nothing like that.
Mm-mm. Houston. Oh my god, that's like a
Don't
fever
forget
dream.
he
I
was a
can get
Hawk for a
players to
day.
Houston. He was.
All right.
He was.
All
Yes, he
right. All right.
was.
Let me,
Yes, he was.
right.
Atlanta legend.
Let's see. I only really need to worry about Denver and New York, clearly. I
Hmm.
think it kind of comes down to durability here. I can't think of who was on those Denver squads like that. I have like a Kenyon Martin, a J.R. Smith in my head. I have a Chauncey Billups later, AI later, but I don't think those two guys played enough games. When you jump to New York, Amari Stoudemire was never really healthy like that. J.R. Smith again, which makes him a favorite
Yeah,
for me right now. Iman Shumpert. Who else is on those New
Iman
York teams? Why
Shumpert. Yeah,
am I blank? Tyson Chandler. Right. Yeah,
Raymond
Fat boy
Felton.
Raymond Felton, man. I think he played with him in Denver too, no?
Legend.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know.
Andre Miller.
Andre Miller. Was he maybe around in Denver?
Not you throwing out names too. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm going. We're going down memory lane right now.
I am
A
on
bunch of
this.
names are popping in my mind. Maybe they're on my
See,
screen. Maybe
like
they're not. I
you
don't
talk
know.
about me steering you in the wrong direction. Now you're just,
Hey, don't listen to me. All right,
you know
listen
what?
to what's going on in
I
your
think
head.
this is another one where I don't want to overthink it because he literally played with them in both locations. I have to say J.R. Smith. I have to.
Well, I have to tell you that you're correct. J.R. Smith, 535 games. Number two. You ready for this one? At 409 games. Nene.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget about
Nene.
that?
Nene.
Yo,
Remember
man,
that?
that dude was a beast, man. I used to look.
He was. He was. Yeah,
Yeah,
number two. Number two. I mean, all in Denver, obviously. I
yeah.
don't think he made his way to New York with them.
No,
So,
dang, how could I forget about
yeah.
Nene Hilario, man? My bad.
Hilario. Yep. Shout out. First time, maybe the last time he gets mentioned on this podcast. Okay. And the last player I have for you is your boy, future MVP, Anthony Davis.
I didn't even know
There's
that
a
sound
lot.
could come out of me, but that was good. That's
There's
good.
a lot. There's a lot to factor into this one because Anthony Davis, as we all know, hasn't had the cleanest bill of health throughout his career. So
Oh man,
a lot of guys have come and gone on both teams he's been on. Obviously, he's been in New Orleans longer than LA, but he's been in LA for a handful of years now.
that's
This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I'm not obviously gonna say, but like the number two guy on this list, like I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that this. I haven't heard of this name in a long time, and I can't believe he'd even be at near the top of something like this.
that's
This is a weird one.
like my mind. I don't know like what to rattle in it right now. Like I have Pelicans players in my head, but I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
think even like that first year when they were still the Hornets.
Right,
Who else
right.
was
Mm-hmm.
on that roster in particularly?
Why he was drafted in
2012.
2012?
Yeah.
2012, yeah.
So I just
Because
can't.
2013 was Anthony Bennett, I believe.
Yep,
Or no, yeah, yeah,
you're
Anthony
correct.
Bennett.
I just can't. I can't even. I can't piece anything together from those.
This is tough. No, this is a tough one.
Yeah,
I can give you if you want to take a few swings at it, you can. I can also give you a hint or two if you need be.
because I'm trying to think who was on the team for certain periods of time.
I wouldn't think. Don't think of the Hornets.
Oh, okay, I kind of tossed that. I kind of trashed it.
Yeah, don't think of the Hornets. I don't think this player was on the Hornets when they were called the Hornets.
I'm
I think.
thinking right now of a major trade that made the Pelicans somewhat relevant when he got there, and
Mhm.
he's also now a member of your Boston Celtics. I just don't know how long he was there before ending up in
Right.
Milwaukee. And then I also want to say somebody who I believe is banned from the league in Tyreek Evans,
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
again how many games he was there until getting banned. Oh man, this is like it's a weird one.
This is a tough one. That is.
Just because I can't think, like we can go back in time and look at LeBron's old teams, and I can name scrubs off of his old teams. I can't think of who played on the Pelicans for some reason. My mind is blank. But you know what? Said I could take a couple stabs at it. I am going to throw knife number one at Drew Holiday.
You went 4 for 4. Drew Holiday is the correct answer. Yes. Drew Holiday, 322 games. You ready for number two? You
Yeah.
ready for number two? Dante Cunningham,
Dante Cunningham.
221 games. Yeah,
The first
crazy.
and last time this name will be mentioned
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this podcast.
yeah, honestly. I was like, I forgot that that was even a person.
Wow.
Yeah, yep. But you're right, Drew Holiday. I mean, he was there for, let's see, he was there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Eight seasons actually. One, two, three,
Wow.
4, 5, 6. No, seven.
Seven's
Yeah,
still a
seven
long time
seasons.
to be
Seven. That's still a long
there
time.
that long.
I didn't either. I didn't either
Wow.
until I did my extra research to make sure, like, double check that everything was right. But
How long was he in Philadelphia?
let me let me go back and check. Yeah, I only need like a handful of years. 4 years. His rookie contract, basically.
Wow. Okay.
Then he got traded. Then he got moved to New Orleans, and then he was. Well, he's only been. I feel like he's. It feels like he's been in Milwaukee more than 3 years, to be honest with you. But he was only there for 3 years.
Damn.
You would have thought him in that New Orleans time would have split up a little bit, like maybe like an extra year or two in Milwaukee. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah. No, that's hey, shit. Shout out to me, man.
Hey, dude, you killed it, 4 for 4. Your thinking was on point there. So there you go.
I surprised myself. All right.
Yeah, I know you did. You seemed very surprised with all the answers you were given, and I tell you it was right.
Yeah.
It was great, great, great stuff.
It's because how you layer it up, it's like, well, I have to tell you, you're correct. Oh, okay. Yeah, shit. Okay.
I hype you up. I hype you up.
All right. Last one I have for you. Super simple, cut and dry, a start bench cut.
Okay.
We got
I don't think I've ever gotten one of these before. I think I'm usually one to give them to you.
you are, I'm taking a page out of the Turo book, man.
So it's a good book. I recommend everyone should check it out. New York Times bestseller.
Wow. Nobel Peace Prize, man.
No,
Give it to him. The
give him a
Pulitzer.
Purple Heart. Give him, yeah, the Pulitzer. Me and Kendrick.
But the three guys that I have for you, all point guards, all young on the younger side, but they're kind of coming into their own. I got LaMelo Ball, big topic of the show for me today.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been brought up a few times. Yep,
I'm excited.
you
Okay.
are, as you should be. I'm excited.
But we got LaMelo Ball,
Mm.
Tyrese Halliburton, and De'Aaron Fox. Start, bench, cut.
Okay, I'm just gonna write it down for a ball. See, this is interesting because they all bring something to the table. Like Halliburton is double double machine. I feel like he's a guy that could average double digit assists for the next stretch of years. Um, Good shooter as well. His jump shot's atrocious, but it works. He can still hit threes. I don't know how he gets it to work, but he does. De'Aaron Fox, I mean, he just was one of the leaders of the Kings, and they made it to the postseason. They did lose in the first round, but I mean,
Clutch player of the year, man.
clutch player of the year as well. I mean, I don't have them pulled in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he averaged like 24, 25 a game last year. Arguably the fastest player in the NBA, speed kills. And LaMelo, he's a guy that can do virtually everything for you, at least on the offensive end. Just health hasn't been there because of longevity. I don't even know if that's the word. Just because he's been in the league longer, and I think he's more proven. I think I got to start De'Aaron Fox. I think that's just a fair place to have him. I don't think it's kind of. I don't think I'd be able to put either Halliburton or Ball ahead of him right now. And then starting Fox, who am I going to bench? I mean, I mentioned health a lot. I mean, I think Halliburton is a guy that you can count on to be, a cornerstone point guard on someone's team. I mean, when he got traded from Sacramento, I mean, Sacramento fans and people were in shambles. That's like, how the hell are you going to trade someone with that much potential? It did work out. It worked out for both sides, obviously. But the Pacers found their cornerstone guard. Now you just got to figure out the rest to put around him. I really want to like if he was healthy year round, like he didn't miss, the chunk of games that he did. I think I would bench Lamelo, but in this case, I'm going to bench Halliburton and I'm going to cut Lamelo. Nothing like against Lamelo. I do think he's a special player. He's an attraction. He is a guy that the Hornets are going to build around and build their franchise around for the next X amount of years. But I need to see him stay healthy and see if what he can do. Like I said earlier, like you'd see what he can do, but in a smaller sample size. I want to see him do that in a bigger sample size. And if he can do that, fuck, he might be starting here.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it to Halliburton. He's a guy that can give you double-digit assists, shoot 40% from three, still give you like 20 a game, and he's a big guard. He's a big boy too for a point guard. So I'm
Hey,
gonna go Fox, start Fox, bench Halliburton. Unfortunately, cut LaMelo.
I'm not mad at that. I think health definitely rode you to your
It
decision.
did. It did. It did.
I,
It
I
did.
can't say that, oh wow, no, that's blasphemy. I get it. Just know LaMelo Ball is definitely the most talented person on this damn thing. Uh,
I hear you. I do.
Triple
I
double
do.
threat. You talk about Halliburton being a big guard. He's taller than Tyrese.
True.
Like,
That's
hey,
true.
not,
They
I get
both have some. They both have similar similar builds and stuff like that. But I just need to see it. I just
it.
need to see it more. That's all.
I'd probably order it the same if we're basing it off of this past season. So I'm
Yeah,
right there
and
with
also De'Aaron Fox too. Like I put him at number one because he's been in the league longer and he's
you. Yeah,
proven more. So I think that's I'd have a hard time putting either of them ahead of Fox right now. After this season, again, things can change. But after last season,
I got
I
you
got to give love to De'Aaron Fox.
for sure.
Okay, I got one last game for you. Now this one's gonna be fun. I'm very excited for this. I like giving you top 10 lists, like rank like the last 10 or like top 10 of like certain categories. These videos actually do very well, so I think I'm gonna have to start giving you a few more of these.
Let's do it.
Jerry, I want you to give me, or I want you to name the last 10 second overall picks in the NBA draft. So from 2023 to 2014, not the first overall pick, not the third overall pick, the second overall pick in these drafts.
I'm not too confident here.
I listen. It's gonna take. You have to think a little bit. You definitely have to shake off some cobwebs going back some of these years. But I do think you can do it. I think I'm very confident in you.
Man, I think you might be a little more confident in me than I am myself.
What? Hey, let's take a step by step, whatever thought process, however you have to do it, go about it. So 2023 to 2014, you can do it whichever order. You can do whatever the hell you want.
All right, man. I'm gonna have to bust out the walker on this one and really pace myself. Uh,
Okay, yeah, take your time.
I think on 2023, obviously, you landed in Charlotte, so it's Brandon Miller there.
Yep.
2022 is where I'm like, I don't know why I'm already drawing blanks. It's like, thank. Oh, that was Pablo's first year.
Follows. Yep.
That was so Chet Holmgren for number two there.
Correct.
All right, you're starting off hot, baby. The ocean is starting to show now.
Yep.
2021, we're talking Jalen Green.
There you go. Yep.
Okay, all right. 2020, that was the Anthony Edwards draft. So we are talking James Wiseman.
Yes, he was traded for 5 second-round picks. What a
Conversation for another day.
yeah. What a selection there, huh?
Oh man, should have been Ball, man. Imagine Ball and you go.
Should have. Oh, disgusting.
2019 now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, see that this is why I knew like my mind would get hazy. It's like
Even sometimes it's hard to think of the first overall picks. Like going back a few years, it is. You lose track. But
before
once you get the first pick, then that's when the second pick comes back to you.
we're talking about before Paulo. I don't even remember what I just gave you for 20. Oh, I gave you Wiseman for
Yes, you
2020.
did. Yeah.
2019. Who are we talking about for 2019? Who was the first round pick, the first overall pick in 2019? That's where like my mind, I can't seem to remember that
Right.
for
Mm-hmm.
some reason. No, that wasn't. I thought that was wait. 2018 is Marvin Bagley.
Yes, that is Marvin
2018
Bagley.
is Marvin Bagley. Who's
Yes.
2019? Because Aiton was the first pick in that draft.
Yes, he was.
2019. Who the hell am I missing here at
You're
2019?
missing. You're missing a. You're missing a big player. First overall. take that wording for however you want to.
First overall for the 2019 NBA draft. I cannot think of who went number one in that draft. You know what?
Maybe you can't think of him because it's. I don't know if he's always around.
That means he's not durable. If he's not always around,
Oh my God, Jerry, you are fucking right there.
who's not durable? The names that I
He,
had
he was a big pick.
in 2019. So I'm guessing he's a big man in 2019.
I mean, take the word big for however you want to take it. It could be a big man. He could be a big man.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I don't. uh
Maybe he had to lose a few pounds because he got too big.
oh wow. Oh, is that okay? All right. See, I don't know why I forgot it, but see, that whole thing just like it's erased out of my mind because
Yeah,
him being overweight and John Morant's the guy, by the way, and John
yeah.
Morant with these gun issues and all this other stuff. It's like,
This draft,
yeah,
this draft has turned into something. Yeah.
wow. And RJ Barrett's like, oh wow, my neck. I'm
Oh,
still waiting on a big jump. Like, damn. Wow. See,
yeah.
that's like a forgettable class in my. I erased
It
that
is.
that fast.
Yeah, the top picks. Kind of. RJ Barrett's the only one that's been able to stay out of trouble, I guess.
Wow.
And he hasn't really panned out that great. Okay.
Yeah,
So you gave me 2018 Marvin Bagley. So now you have 2017 to 2014.
I'm still not in good shape here.
It's all right. You're good.
Damn, 2017. Maybe I need a bit. Let me backtrack. So 2012, AD's draft. 2013, Anthony Bennett. That draft was terrible. 20,
That was Giannis was the only bright spot, and people didn't even know who he was.
yeah.
And Kelly Olynyk, of course. Come on. Come on. Let's
Right.
give some love to the clinic. Game 7 legend. Kelly the Clinic Olynyk, bro. 26 points in Game 7 against Washington. Come on.
Wow. Hey, Gonzaga's finest, man. Shout out to Kelly.
He is. Yeah, there he is. That he is.
Oh man. Okay, so 2014, the 2014 draft. I don't know why. When was Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons is drafted in 2016.
That was 2016. Yeah.
2016. So who was picked after Ben Simmons in 16?
I'm going to tell you this from 2017 to 2015, and I just kind of I mean, I knew this, but like looking back on it, it's kind of crazy. The Lakers had 3 straight second overall picks from 2017 to 2015.
Yeah, that definitely helps because Jaylen Brown went number 3 to Boston that year, but Brandon Ingram is our guy there for 16.
Yes, 16.
I can't think
So
of
you have
17 right now. I really can't.
okay. All right, well, we can get back to that. So you have 2014, 2015, and 2017 still.
Who was it? Oh, Lonzo Ball in 17.
Yep. Yes,
In
17.
17. Lonzo Ball in 17. All right. See, okay. Boomerang. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. 15 though. So I still got 14 and 15, right?
Yes, the last two.
Oh yeah, man. You it's a good thing I'm cultured, damn it. Uh what year was that though? Was that 14 or 15?
Yeah, that was 14.
So that means Jabari Parker was our guy for
Yes,
2014.
Celtics legend.
Celtics legend, right?
Barcelona legend. All right,
um
2015. Last one.
2015. Who was the guy for 2015? Uh damn. Who was picked after Wiggins? After Wiggins at the number one pick was Wiggins that year. Sandwiched in between Ben Simmons.
I kind of forget that he was the number one. This guy was the number one overall pick too. He definitely was, but I forgot about it.
A forgotten number one pick then.
No, not forgot. No. He's very much still active and great, but I just kind of he did get sandwiched, like you said. It's kind of I forget that he was the number one overall pick. Definitely deserved it.
I'm trying to think of like bad teams, right? Like around that
Mm,
time that could have landed that pick.
right.
Yeah, the Blinks are back, baby.
It's sometimes earlier, like your dog was barking. Don't you ever sometimes wish you had a cat? they don't make as much noise. You know what I
The
mean?
play on words here is immaculate today from Dante, man. He's on one
I
today.
don't know. I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah, man. Shit. I even with even with that very well disclosed token, I still can't think of who was picked behind Carl Anthony Towns. Picked behind Cat. That draft was like pretty decent, if I remember well, because I believe Devin
I
Booker was also in that draft.
Yeah, yeah, I think he was 2015. Yeah, I think he was. Oh man,
Who was picked
you
second?
know sometimes when like you're just feeling like the veins in your arm and like they're not warm, it kind of feels like it's been like in the freezer, kind of like you have like ice in your veins or something like that. Sometimes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. That's shame on me, man. He was also a Laker, one of those picks that you mentioned. Damn, D'Angelo Russell, man. Fuck.
Yeah,
Damn,
D'Angelo Russell.
I needed a lot of
Hey,
help here. I needed a lot of help.
when you get towards the later years, it's forgettable. You know what I mean? You have to also like it's hard. Like even like you have to like start by thinking who was the first pick and then you can follow it up. It's hard to be like, oh yeah, who was that guy was the second overall pick. Like more recent years it's easier to remember, of course, but
Yeah.
then you got to dig deep. Like I forget the drafts when Cat was the number one pick, Ben Simmons was the number one pick, Markel Fultz was the number one pick in 2017.
I
Like
remember
it's crazy.
I just remember the notable players that came. Like Donovan Mitchell was in Ben Simmons' draft. No, he wasn't. Donovan Mitchell was in 17 technically, because Ben
Yeah.
Simmons won Rookie of the Year that year. But there's
Right.
somebody else that I'm thinking of in Ben Simmons' draft that was like a damn good player. But
Jalen, Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox was number 5 that year.
that's who I'm thinking of. Then,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I
He was
just
number 5. And number 4 was no, he was 20. I was thinking Josh Jackson. That was Tatum's draft. Who was number 4 in the 2016 draft? It was Simmons, Ingram, Jalen.
can't remember who was number 4 in that draft.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just curious.
I want to say Thomas Robinson. Thomas Robinson was 4 and 5 in
Oh,
somebody's draft.
who is it? Hold on. You want to know who it was? Oh, actually. Oh, wait. I think I got the De'Aaron Fox one wrong too.
Him and Lonzo were in the same draft. This is 17.
Okay, so De'Aaron Fox was 17 because you have Dragon Bender at number 4 in the
Wow.
2016 draft, and then Chris Dunn was number 5, another point guard. Chris Dunn. I remember the hype around Chris Dunn. People
Yeah.
wanted him in Boston so bad because of his like he went to Providence, so he had New England ties. Oh, the hype around him was crazy that year.
He finally
But
just got back into the league.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. There's a lot of hype around him, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. But hey, you all in all, you did well. You did get most of them. That's a tough game.
And
So
the second pick in each draft, that was torture. But
tough one.
we got
Hey, I'll be back with third picks next week. All right.
God, please no.
All right. Well, that's it for me. That's all the games I have. I think. Is that all you got too?
Yeah, we are booked up here in episode 11.
Yes, sir. And the NBA season tips off in 1 week. So next time you hear from us, we'll be going over some, just maybe giving some more season previews, our final thoughts. Maybe next week we'll do like our award show. That'll be like our predictions for the season, like who we think
Yeah.
is going to finish where, who's going to win what awards and stuff. We'll have some fun there. But for now, I think that's an episode. Jared, do you have any last words you want to say to these beautiful people watching and listening at home?
Nah, I mean, pretty much the usual, man. Make sure you follow us on socials, man. It's attached at the bottom. It's going to be in the bio and everything like that. Jerry here, Dante here, man. It's just another great show, man. Again, shout out to you for hitting that 100K, man. That's my party shot, man. That's huge.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, everyone that supports us on, obviously Stash Club. Thank you for that support. Also, thank you for supporting us here at Sitting Courtside. Like Jerry said in the bio, we have the accounts for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. So give us a follow on all those platforms. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe, comment. If you have something you want to say, whether it's a disagreement with what we said, you want to agree, whatever, maybe your comments will make it. Actually, if people are watching this, put in the comments who you think are going to win awards for next season, because we can go over those comments when we give our picks as well. So make sure to put in the comments who you think are going to win the NBA championship, winning certain awards like MVP, defensive player, sixth man, all that stuff. Give us your thoughts in the comments. If you listen to this on podcast, please make sure to follow, give us a 5-star rating. That helps us out a ton. And like I said, follow us everywhere else. So that's all I really have to say. Jerry is doing a little dance, and I think that's the cue to end this thing. So till next time, guys. Peace out.